song that Iron Maiden plays last before they come out? Every show. I guess I probably don't. They did a cover of it. Just like Mary? What? Just like Mary? Doctor. A UFO? Mm-hmm.
Person, you. Goodness me. That was just a chance to think. Here comes some more. Is that my dinner? Oh, she's got the Caesar salad with the ranch dressing. And I've got an interesting program. Interesting to me because I get the opportunity to do some stuff that I wouldn't normally do with Jethro Tull, like talk to you a little more and reveal my soft, white underbelly. This is kind of different because we get a little involvement from you folks in the audience asking some questions. A couple of you get to come up and sit here with me and talk on the cozy couch. We have some guests, musical guests, and another guest I'll tell you about later. And a fabulous band will be joining me on stage. But first of all, my co-presenter for this evening from KLOS, it's Jim Ladd, the last of the real DJs. Jim, how you doing? This is the scary long walk down those very steep stairs, and I'm not fully insured, so Jim, be careful. Here he comes. We call this rubbing elbows. There you go. We actually call it that, in case you were wondering, because I had a little wrist injury, and I won't tell you why, but I had a little wrist injury. Look, a guy's got to do what a guy's got to do. It's a long tour. Come on.
Hold on 1 second. more information than I needed.
That's right, especially so early in the show. Yeah, I hurt my wrist, so I had to invent another way of bonding with people. And if you're going to bond with males, you have to rub body parts at, careful distance, so that's why we do the rubbing elbows.
Elbows will be fine.
Yeah, other extremities are completely out of the question. Nice guy though you are. So, Jim, is this your normal environment to come and do things in front of a live audience? I guess you do sometimes.
Occasionally we do, and I always enjoy it. I always enjoy meeting the people and seeing their smiling faces when they come out. First, I wanted to thank you for inviting me, though. It was very nice.
That's a pleasure. We have the smiling faces on the way in. I'm not so sure about the way out, but they look good at the moment.
We'll see.
For their age. No, come on! When I did a little walkabout there, I have to say, I did notice some younger faces in the audience. It was great to see some young people out there. Some of you are barely out of your 40s. It's great.
Well, we'll just see if any of them have wrist injuries on the way out, how exciting the show is. It'll come, go ahead. Got it, okay. What sparked the idea to do this kind of format, which is a word that I usually don't like to use, but this particular way of presenting the show?
From years and years of doing things like your show, appearing on radio stations and being a guest in the radio environment or on television and having to learn to talk and take questions from callers or Regis and Kathy or whatever lady's name begins with a K that he happens to have at the moment. And you learn how to do that stuff. You get friendly and cheerful, and my reserved British manner had to break down over the last 35 years. I had to learn to talk to you folks. And so I do that now, but it really comes from doing the radio stuff. So we just switched it around and brought the radio context back into a more theatre kind of a thing. So.
I'll tell this quick story. When I was, a long time ago when I was starting in radio, I had this genius idea to do a show called Inner View. And I was working for this, thank you. I thought it was a good idea because at the time, no one was doing a show where you would actually ask a serious question of a serious musician like Ian Anderson. It was all about, why did you grow your hair long? That was the only question journalists could seem to come up with. Anyway, I was told, this is a stupid idea because these guys can't talk. They're rock and roll musicians. Anyway, 16 years, 160 stations later, like 600 shows later, when the thing worked. But this was the very first guy that I ever did a serious interview with, ever. It was this man right here. Very first one.
And that gave you the confidence to do some more.
Exactly.
And then next guy was, let me guess, Ozzy Osbourne. Who's very articulate, so long as you can deal with words that start with an F and a C. Not much else, but would.
Let's talk about this new album. You have a great new album, by the way. It's called Rupi's Dance.
Yeah, Rupi is a Hindu word meaning beauty, and beauty is the name of a little pussycat that we took in over the pre-Christmas period, a little four-week-old runt that was abandoned by Mum, and she turned out to be a real playful and sexy little kitten, and so she got her own song, and so in fact she got her own album. It's called Rupi's Dance. I'm a sentimentalist about cats. I know it's sometimes not everybody's favourite animal, but I like pussycats because they have that sort of ambivalent sexuality. Even a male cat swishes the tail and looks sexy, and a female cat is still a hunter-killer, kind of macho creature. So it's all mixed up. It's a sort of it's sort of like David Bowie, really. It's a kind of We're going to play a song, Jim. In fact, we're going to play cover for me while I walk the long walk.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Anderson.
Before I do that, I'll just bring on my fellow musicians here, because we've got a bunch of really fine musicians from the West Country of England. They're all from the Bristol area, and these are some of the finest musicians you would find anywhere in the Yellow Pages. Ladies and gentlemen, John O'Hara on keyboards, wherever he is. Kit Morgan on guitars. James Duncan on drums and percussion. And a very suavely dressed David Goodier on a big bass guitar. That was one big bass guitar. This is a song really about one of my favourite hobbies. A hobby I practice as often as possible. It's called waking up in the morning. I try to do that and keep doing it for a little while to come. This is a piece called Life It's a long song. When you're falling awake and you take stock of the new day, and you hear your voice croak as you choke on what you need to say, well, don't you fret, don't you fear, I will give you good cheer. Life's a long song, life's a long song, life's a long song, yeah. If you wait, then your plate will fail. As the verses unfold and your soul suffers the long day, and the 12 o'clock gloom spins the room, you struggle on your way. Well, don't you sigh, don't you cry, take the dust from your eye. Life's a long song, life's a long song, life's a long song. We will meet in the sweet light of dawn, as the Baker Street train spills your pain all over your new dress, and the symphony sounds underground, but you under duress. Well, don't you squeal as the heel rides you wander the wheels. Life's a long song, life's a long song, life's a long song. Let the tune dance to sing a song. But the tune ends to sing her a song.
Ian Anderson and the band, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks very much, thank you.
What kind of guitar is that that you're playing?
It's a guitar that makes me look bigger, because it's actually just a regular guitar. It's made by a fellow called Andy Manson, who makes traditional acoustic guitars back in the west country of England, down near Devon, where Martin Barr lives. And Andy made this one for me. It's kind of an imitation of a very early European parlour guitar, so it's kind of a 3/4 size. And I like the idea of the little guitar makes me look like a big guy, and like proper rock musicians. They're always about 6 feet tall and big guys, and you probably saw me down there, I'm just a little fella.
So apparently it's not the size of the instruments, it's the talent behind it.
We were talking about that earlier because one of my guests in Chicago in a few weeks' time is a girl called Cynthia Plaster Caster. And yeah, Cynthia was one of the famous plaster casters who, amongst other things, cast the Jimi Hendrix Willie Wobbler. And Jimmy was, I shouldn't be telling you this, but I guess I will, I've started so I'll finish. He apparently was only 5.75 inches long, but had a girth that made up for it according to popular rumour. And she is going to bring Jimmy's Willie Wobbler on the stage in Chicago, so once you get to look at it, pick it up, examine it. It's a numbered limited edition copy, and you too could buy Jimmy's Jimmy. if you have $1,500 in your wallet. That's the downside. Downside? Downside, yes, okay.
To get more information than I need.
The War Child album was a favourite one of mine because it was a return to simple songs again. And on the cover of that, Martin Bard, Jethro Tull's long-standing guitar player, was depicted by a photographer, cut off by the photographer's lens, doing this sort of pose, and it was supposed to be skating. And it was to depict this song called Skating Away on the Thin Ice of the New Day. Meanwhile, back in the year one, when you belong to no one, you didn't stand a chance, son. If your pants were undone, 'cause you were praying humanity, and so won't the society. One day you'll wake up in the present day, a million generations removed from expectations of being who you really want to be. Skating away, skating away, skating away on the thin ice of the new day. As you push off on the shore, when you tell your head was warm, and make your peace with everyone. For as long as you choose to stay when there's just one more day to do the things you should have done. As you cross the wilderness, just spinning in your emptiness, you really have to break. Looking for a sign that the universal mind is ready into the passion play. Skating away, skating away, skating away on the thin ice of the new day. As you cross the circle line, the ice won't leave behind. You're a rabbit on the run. Now the silver splendors climb a corner of your eye, shining in the setting sun. Well, do you ever get the feeling that the story's too damn real and in the present tense? That everybody's on the stage, and it seems like you're the only person sitting in the audience. Skating away, skating away, skating away on the thin ice of the new day. Skating away, skating away, skating away.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Hey, John. This is John O'Hara, by the way, on the keyboard. John, here's something I never thought I'd hear myself say. The accordion sounded really good. I liked it. We're not big on accordions here in the US. Let me ask you a question, Ian. Skating away on the thin ice of a new day.
Yeah.
Now, is this like a British expression? Because this is not something you would normally hear in America, where we are known for the proper use of the King's English.
Standing like this, by the way, it's a little chilly, and the bladder's a little full, so...
Oh, Christ. Here we go.
It's really just a song about optimism. It's a song about, going forward, going forth.
Yeah, well, my question is, ain't this one of them foreign terms? You know what I'm saying?
Not really, no. It's not a term in common usage as far as I'm aware, but it's just an optimistic song about
skating away.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little dangerous out there in the real world, but we all have to make our way through it and walk across the waters.
The reason I ask is because there was another limey band that I happen to like by the name of Pink Floyd, and they have a song called "The Thin Ice of a New Day," and I thought maybe this was an English term.
When was that?
Off the Wall. It's on the Off the Wall.
Right. Oh shit.
Came out, but it came out after yours. You were first, and then that. So I thought maybe that was an English term. So.
Right. No, that's kind of embarrassing. Yeah.
Well, apparently it's embarrassing for me for asking a question. But.
Because I did write a song called "Dark Side of the Volkswagen Beetle." Luckily, I changed the title.
That's great.
Let's do it. Have you ever been to a place called Blackpool in the north of England? You probably haven't.
No, I have not.
No, it's Blackpool is a holiday, a vacation town, and it's not really. It's a little. But Atlantic City is a city of culture compared to Blackpool. Blackpool is a kind of a tacky holiday place with. Its only redeeming feature really is a 500-foot Victorian iron tower. And I was in Blackpool just for a few years as a teenager, passing quickly through puberty. And it was a little intimidating to wake up every morning to this great phallic enormity when I was just a little shriveled guy. And so I grew up, kind of resenting the tower, and yet with a strange fascination for such objet. And I decided to write a piece of music just to celebrate my mixed feelings about Blackpool. It's just called Up the Pool. So a mixture of nostalgia and loathing. Up the Pool, ladies and gentlemen. And apparently was on, I believe, on the Living in the Past compilation album in 1970 for the historians amongst you. And for those of you who aren't historians, it was just a fucking long time ago. Up the Pool in the wrong key, now Up the Pool in the right key. There we go. Up the pool, from down the smoke below, to taste my mom's jam stories and see our auntie blow. The candy floss salesman, watch his ladies in the sand, down for a freaky weekend in the hope that they'll be meeting Mr. Universe. The iron tower smiles down upon the silver sea, and along the golden mile there'll be swinging mugs of tea. The politicians there have come to take the air, while posing for the daily press, and then look around and blame the mess on Edward Bear. There'll be buckets, spades, and bingo goggles, muscles for rainy days, seaweed and some castles, icy waves, dead chairs, rubber knees, old best braces hanging down, sometimes handy starfish in the days. We're going up the pool. She's ladies in the sand, town for a freaky weekend, in the hope that they'll be meeting Mr. Universe. There'll be buckets, spades, and bingo goggles, muscles for rainy days, seaweed and sand castles, ice and waves. Rubber Davy's old vest, braces dangling down. A sun can spend its salvation of days. Oh, Blackpool, no Blackpool. Yeah. Good old Blackpool.
This next one is from the new album, yes?
Yeah, it is actually. And it's a bit
bit
about
about
you're a coffee kind of guy, like a nice cup of coffee in the morning. Yeah, live on it. Well, me too. And Mr. Starbuck obviously thinks he invented latte and cappuccino and all those weird sort of exotic flavors. In fact, just kind of ripped off what we all do back in old Europe, as the Texan famously called it a few months ago, pissing off the Germans, the French, the Italians, everything else. Back in old Europe, we sip coffee in a discreet and suave and urbane style in beautiful city squares, and we watch the pretty girls go by and people coming back from the lavatory.
Too much coffee.
That's right, it's that frothy stuff, yeah. So there's a piece called Calliandra Shade, which is where I shelter from the noonday sun and sip my coffee in an imaginary way. This is from the new album, Rupi's Dance, and it's a hell of a fine song. But I actually like it. Go for it.
Turn it up!
All kinds of crazy waiters, they go drifting by. Ours last forever in the Calliandra Shade. Conversation going nowhere and yet everywhere. Kick off those hat shoes and let the winter speak. So they pop the shoulders, and that they've been was thinking about that in the middle of that song. You're right, it was 74 was skating away on the Swing Isolate Day, a new day, and the Pink Floyd thing was the wall. That would be what's 1980.
29.
You were thinking about that while you were playing?
I was thinking about a lot of things while I was playing.
Mr. Multitasking.
A lot of weird
here.
stuff goes through your head. Yeah, it does.
Are we ready to bring up these friends of yours?
Let's do that.
Would you like to do that? We have all kinds of guests. This man really, when he does something, he does it right. We're going to start with two members of the audience. I don't know exactly how they got chosen, but they're here. Should we introduce them?
Yeah, let's do that. We have Jeff Haller, who's one of our audience member guests tonight.
Jeff, come on up, buddy.
Right there somewhere.
And Dave Morgan.
Lord, Dave will be. Oh, Jeff will be right at the back. Where are you, Jeff?
Is this Jeff here? Hold your hand up. There he is. Hey, Jeff.
Okay.
How you doing, buddy?
Way from the back.
Let's have a hand for Jeff, shall we? And are you Dave?
Come right up here. Be careful on the stairs because they're pretty narrow and scary. We're going to do rubbing elbows. You're a big guy, so do it gently. Ow! How are you doing?
How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
That's Dave Morgan. That sounds astonishingly and frighteningly Welsh to me. Well, Di, let's start with you, because that really, they mispronounced. They said, look, it says down here, Di Morgan, and it says Day Morgan, but I know.
Yeah, well, they got it all wrong.
Of course they have, because Wales is just across from where we all live, isn't it? Yeah, we know a Di when we see one. We do, that's a good old Welsh name, and back in the United Kingdom, we have to pretend that the Welsh and the Scots and the Irish actually have anything to do whatsoever with those bloody awful English, but, you know, us colonial types in the far-flung regions of the UK, we have to keep our national identity.
Absolutely.
So you're a rugby follower.
Yes, I am, unfortunately.
Tell them about rugby, because American football, with all respect, to a Welshman would seem a pretty sissy kind of game.
Oh, hold on.
Absolutely.
We're not the ones that run around in little shorts and t-shirt. You know, we're men. We've got shoulder pads and helmets, for God's sake. Am I right in this?
Okay, but the real Welshman, he runs around without the shoulder pads and that. And he just kind of gets in there and nuts people in the bollocks to win the game. You don't have to do all this shoulder pad stuff. No, it's seriously a dangerous game, and the way they play rugby union back home is seriously. A lot of people get very, very hurt, and they don't use all the protective gear, so they get pretty vicious with each other, and some people die. They do. They really have brain concussion and all that sort of stuff. Dangerous game.
Well, the dirtiest players are from Bristol, where these boys are from.
Yeah. They're the dirtiest.
Oh, filthy.
Filthy. Absolutely. Yeah.
So Wales.
I shall look at them in a different light now, as being dirty and filthy. Yeah. Even after laundry day, they're still dirty and filthy. So, Dad, we've got a question, something really penetrating and frighteningly horrible for me.
Well, you know, I was thinking on the way up in the car, because is it Patty from KLOS called me and said, oh, you're on the show today.
That's kind of embarrassing, because our man from KLOS here, the real DJ, had no fucking idea how that we picked you. In fact, it was Patty at KLOS who picked these women. Patty, they're not mere stooges from the guys who work in the security at the back there or sell t-shirts. These are actually real KLOS listeners.
Yeah, right. And I'm glad to meet you. But it'll just show you how wired in I am, you know, to the inner workings of KLOS. They keep me as far away from that process as possible.
Well, Lord have mercy.
God bless you, brother. Thank you.
It's a bit of a line he says on the radio over here.
All right, okay.
Anyways. Well, I was thinking, I had all day to think about it, and then I thought, well, what the hell am I going to say to him? You know, I thought I could say, oh, have you grown your hair? But your hair's a bit shorter now than it was last time I saw you.
Thank you for noticing.
The biggest thing I can think of is that if you look around the audience, and it is older than some of the audiences that I've been to in concerts lately, but I'm kind of stuck, maybe like many of these people are out here, in who I'm listening to. And I'm listening to a lot of KLOS and another station who plays older music. And I'm just wondering, what kind of music are you listening to now that's modern, that's maybe either influencing you, or you like it, or is there anything that you like right now, or is it all garbage?
No, there's some contemporary rock bands I really do like listening to, and I've tried to, you know, make a habit of keeping up with what people are doing, and even if I don't really love it, you know, some of it's pretty well played and exciting and interesting. It is, after all, the music of youth, and rock music reinvents itself, just as, you know, with each generation there's a need for new heroes, so it's kind of okay. But most of what I listen to is actually to do with, it's usually bands, musicians, folks who send me their CDs because they want to be the opening act on a Jethro Tull tour, or maybe a special musical guest on one of these things. So I do actually listen to a lot of CDs. I've just been given a bundle actually before the show tonight that I have to listen to tomorrow to choose some musical guests for upcoming shows. And these are usually younger folks who are starting off their career in music, and some of them are great, some of them are not so great, but it's an opportunity.
Funny you should say that. I got this little CD.
Because even if you had, I would make you get up and sing it live now. It'd be a Welsh rugby song, probably.
Delilah.
Yeah, so you've got a little of the Tom Jones in you. I don't mean that in the clinically medical sense, but God. Hey, listen, where Tom Jones sticks that thing, it stays stuck. He was a macho man, still is probably, if his wife lets him out anymore.
I'd just like to state, for general purposes, that I personally am an admitted heterosexual. I just want to... By the way,
I'm not sure. And I have to say, I'm not sure, because I haven't actually had a gay experience yet, but unlike Jim, I am prepared to accept the possibility, however faint it may fucking well be, that I might actually want to bare my buttocks to another man, but so far it has not happened. And if it does, I will be the first to let you know, and I will say I am, you know, proud to experience something I haven't done before, but as of yet it hasn't happened because no one's made me the right offer.
Yeah, but you're in the music business. I would think that would happen every day.
Funny enough, it hasn't. We were talking about this just last week. Look, these guys have all been, at some point, approached by another man, you know, sort of couple. I have never, I swear it's the truth, no man has ever said, hey, you're a handsome guy, hey, come back. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not attractive in that way?
You're still young, Ian. There's still a chance.
There's still a chance. Absolutely. By the way, sorry, what was the question again? It was something interesting. You haven't had a chance. What have you got to say?
I've got a couple of questions for you. I know you've performed numerous songs over the years. What song or songs do you get the most enjoyment out of performing?
Well, the set list changes a lot, you know, from tour to tour. There's probably 2 or 3 things that Jethro Tull always played to us, and Locomotive Breath, or maybe Aqualung, or something like that sort. But the rest of it kind of changes around a lot. So I have favourites, and then you know, after a few months, I don't go off them, but it's time just to say goodbye for a while, and then you bring them back like old friends, you know, 3 or 4 years later, or 10 years later, and they come back into the set, and it's kind of good to play with those things for a while. So my favourites, I mean, honestly, just do keep changing. I mean, last tour, my favourite was probably a piece called Budapest from the Crest of the Nave album. You know that album where Jethro Tull won the Grammy for being best hard rock and heavy metal. And Metallica got really pissed off. But as I said to them, you know, obviously Metallica are a pretty good band, and it was their first year out, so I said, don't worry guys, you know, next year you'll win the Grammy. And they did. And they took out an ad, I think, in Billboard saying, we'd like to thank our mothers, our record producer, you know, the dog, and Jethro Tull for not bringing out an album this year. Which I thought shows some perception and some, you know, some magnanimous intent.
So did you guys ever think you'd be sitting on a stage with Ian Anderson in your wildest dreams? Did you ever think this would happen?
Not at all.
It's pretty cool, isn't it, to get it from this perspective? We're about to have some more music too, I believe.
You can stay here and you'll be plunged into darkness, so I know you're sitting closely together, so just feel free to loosen up, okay?
Let me ask as a setup to this song, because it is a new song. If you haven't gotten Rupi's Dance, you may not have heard this yet. It's called A Week of Moments, and it's about your fantasy dream vacation. And the question I want to ask is for someone who lives in airports and hotel rooms, how do you take a vacation?
Well, it's not easy. When you say it's a fantasy vacation, my fantasy vacation is to actually get through the full 7 days of a week, because after 3 or 4 days, according to my wife, I start getting ornery and you know, overturning tables and insulting waiters and generally being really obnoxious.
a bit like I am the other 3 or 4 days.
Understand.
So this is a kind of fantasy vacation holiday, and
A week of moments.
yeah. But when I do this and you're in the darkness over there, just tell me which one of you is going to be Tom Jones. Have fun.
That's great, man. From the new album, Rupi's Dance. dice now and coming out into the audience. Lord have mercy. Now, at this stage of the game, we're going to let you guys ask a question. Is there anyone that has a question? Uh-oh, here we go. This looks like somebody. Come on. Do you have a question? Come on. All right, go ahead, come on. Come over here. What's your name?
My name's Steve, Jim.
Steve, nice to meet you. You got the Operation Lend a Hand t-shirt. So you donated to the families of the service. And look at the hat. Oh, yeah. This is a Lord Have Mercy hat this guy won. Very cool. That's good, man. Yes, I will. Okay, ask your question.
Yes, I'd like to know, given the state of radio these days and the fact that we have the endless same free songs by the 100 bands, this is not Jim's show either I'm referring to. He's the exception to the rule. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't get to hear some of the endless catalog that you have and all these other bands have. And I'd like to know what you think of the way it is right now and what do you think we can do to restore radio to the people?
Well, the risk of offending Jim, you could go out and get yourself a satellite receiver for your car and get XM radio. Because I have a feeling, 5 years from now, Jim Ladd will probably be running XM radio because no, I struck a bad chord here. There are some folks on classic rock radio formats who do play more interesting stuff, free-form radio things, and Jim is obviously one of the last of the great guys in that context. But somewhere out there, there are other folks doing the same stuff, and you put them all together and listen to some different formats. And I kind of like the idea that you have a local radio station that really is local, and you support that. It deals with community things. It gets involved with people. But on a national level, XM radio is going to offer some alternatives, and I personally hope they succeed. Although I think they're probably so far into debt at the moment, it'll be a rough ride for those guys.
I'm going to follow up on that. First of all, thank you for asking that question. Two things. One is, yes, the best radio is local. That is the best. KLOS serves Los Angeles, right? I don't want to be telling somebody in Illinois what's going on. I want to talk to my friends here in LA. Secondly, right now, for what I know of satellite radio, it's the same shit just falling out of the sky. You know what I mean? That's the problem. All right. Yes, sir.
My name is Mike, and
I have to hold the mic, Mike. You're not union.
I've been a fan since '72, and my first time I saw him was Thick as a Brick tour.
Next question.
I'm a young man.
No, the reason I'm looking at you, just turn around and say hi to the audience there. You just have the kind of look of an Iraqi about you. No, you do. A New York Iraqi. No, I'm just curious because sometimes we do get folks from Middle Eastern countries in the audience, and it's great to. I listen to a lot of that music, but you just have that.
Brooklyn.
Okay, that's all right. No, I was just wondering what happened to some of those.
Just wanted to ask a question, not start an international incident. You just wanted to ask a question.
Wait a minute. Is that a weapon of mass destruction in your trousers there? Or you just pleased to see it? Okay.
Right.
How are the old boys from the Thick as a Brick tour? Like Barrymore?
Well, I just got an email this afternoon from the Italian Jethro Tull fan club convention organizer saying that they just had Barry Barlow and John Evans and some of the guys over there for the Italian fan convention. And they actually got up and played. Barry and Clive Bunker from the old days, they got up and played. Sadly, I couldn't be there this time because we were busy over here. But the guys are still around, but mostly they don't play too much anymore. And, sort of left music behind back then for reasons of, family reasons and other things that they wanted to do with their lives. But we're still in touch. We meet up quite often, and once in a while I persuade them to play something. And nice folks.
Let's get a question from a long
It's easy to be nice folks when you get your royalty check twice a year. They have to be nice folks.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Mary.
Hello, Mary.
Hi there. Hi there.
Hi there. You're looking great, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this your husband? Okay.
Her husband listens to satellite radio, so be careful.
Yeah, okay, fine. I have great taste in women, though. Go ahead, Mary.
Just the same question I think that the first gentleman on stage was asking you with regard to whom do you listen to today?
Well, today I was listening to a fellow called Mike Keneally, who's going to be our musical guest tomorrow. Mike Keneally used to play with, who was Frank Zappa's last guitar player. So, very talented musician. Unfortunately for us, he's also a very complex and detailed musician, so we've been going through some kind of nervous hysteria backstage, having to learn his quite complicated song for tomorrow night, and we'll probably screw it up really badly, so you don't want to be in El Cajon, California tomorrow. We will disgrace ourselves in front of Mike Keneally. We won't, because the guys, they have to do this every day. They don't get the music, in fact, until about 2 hours before showtime, and they have to kind of learn whatever it is they're going to play live on stage with our musical guest, and they have to kind of write it out and learn it, and then 2 hours later they've got to be, boom, like they've been doing it all their lives. And I thank them for that, and I envy them for that, because I have to borrow the chord sheets that they write out. So I only learned it about 10 minutes before the show, so thanks very much, guys, for doing that.
It also speaks volumes about who you're watching today, which is honest-to-God musicians, not people who are sampling music, who are more concerned with dance steps than they are with playing their instruments. You're actually watching people who know what they're doing and take pride in it, and I think they deserve a hand for that.
I have a friend in Italy who's talking about Italy, and Italy has a lot of fine musicians. Some of them are rock musicians, some of them, of course, are famous classical and opera people. And my chum, Andrea Griminelli, is Italy's most famous classical flute player, and he's a very handsome man and has an amazing taste in women, and quite a lot of success with women, being a handsome, red-blooded Italian. And when we did some shows last year, he was a little down in the dumps because his girlfriend of some long standing had left him for another flute player. And no, not me, no, somebody with an even bigger flute than mine, and someone with the Viagra flute. Anyway, so Andrea was a little upset, and we had to do some shows together, and he wanted me to write a duet that we could play together on flute, so I thought, well, I'll write something for him and for me, and play together, and to cheer him up, I wrote this piece called Griminelli's Lament, which is so unbelievably depressing, it was going to piss him off even more. But we did it together on stage, and miraculously, after the show, the girl, she'd been in the audience all the time, you know, his ex-girlfriend, she was been in there watching the show, and she came running back, because I introduced the song, explained what it was about. She was so overcome emotionally, she came running backstage afterwards, threw her arms around Andrea, oh, darling, I love the music, oh, it's brilliant, oh, perfect, yeah, take me back. Andrea looked at her in the eye and said, fuck off, bitch! I don't know the Italian version of that, but notice I didn't actually use the full Aussie word, I just kind of did the f and the k at the end. Imagine the two little asterisks in the middle. Griminelli's Lament, and there's no other flute player tonight, but we'll have some of Jim's favourite accordion music to accompany us.
You know, sitting outdoors on a night like this at the John Anson Ford Theatre and listening to that piece, that was... Can I have an elbow on that? Because that was really good. I really like that.
Well, in the history of pop music and rock music, there's been all sorts of stuff, all sorts of interesting stuff, some intellectual stuff, some clever stuff, some progressive stuff, some jazz stuff, and looming high above all of that in the sense of the mighty music of all time that us rock and roll kind of people really look up to and admire as the crowning glory of rock and roll at its best. We have the music of Spinal Tap. Oh yeah. Yeah! Because us folks who actually do that stuff for a living, we think that's all about us. We think that is a real documentary about the real lives of us folks. And so what more appropriate than to bring onto the stage one of the Spinal Voice himself, but also famous as the voice of The Simpsons, a great radio show you want to listen to. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Shearer. Thank you, Harry. After those steps. Harry, have a seat. Here's Mike.
Wow, Ian Anderson as Rosie O'Donnell. I never thought I'd live to see the day.
It's just the tits. The rest of me is all mine.
No, it's the sex too.
So Harry, what you've been doing? You've just come back from a pretty serious bit of bumping and grinding in the folk context, haven't you? With a trip?
Yes, we did Christopher Guest and Michael McKean and I are part of a movie. You can. Because it just heats up the time and it's less, we have less to say there. Did a movie called A Mighty Wind with a group of Christopher's regular people, and we just did the first leg, the East Coast leg of a tour of all the bands from A Mighty Wind. And November 8th, we're going to be doing that show at the Wilshire, not the Wiltern, the Wilshire in Los Angeles, and you're all welcome to come and pay your money. No, it's been, we did it at the Getty Center in Bel Air, don't you know, last May, and I was giddy at the Getty. It was so much, really, it was like, I didn't want to stop. I said, let's keep doing it until they force us out, because it was so much fun, and it has been that much fun again.
And the great thing, I suppose, about this, in the same way as with the Spinal Tap shows that you've done, is it's kind of serious, but it's not serious. And you take it, as you said to me, you play this in character. And if people find it funny or amusing, that's great. But some of us take it incredibly seriously. Now, one question I always wanted to ask you is, I've got it written down here. Somebody handed me a copy of Thick as a Brick the other day, and I made some notes here, because you play the character in Spinal Tap, you play the character Derek Smalls. Derek Smalls, yeah. And I see here on the Thick as a Brick album cover, I see an advertisement here for Dwarf for rent. Contact Derek Small, £5 for a short session. And I see, and I've obviously marked about another 10 different references to Derek Small on Thick as a Brick. Also Derek Small on the Passion Play album in the spoof program in the middle is Derek Small is the projectionist. And but is this coincidence? You just hit upon the same name, or did it?
Actually, I stole it from a Pink Floyd album.
Okay, that explains everything.
No, it's total coincidence. Because I, to this day, even though I have the Thick as a Brick album in my voluminous collection of LPs, I can't admit to having read all the fine print on the cover. I figure that's something I'll do when I'm in traction these days. Some of my fine traction reading. But no, it came from Cockney slang, I think. Smalls for balls, and Derek because it was a common English kind of blokey name.
Okay, well you probably hear this from other people. I mean, I know there's some things in the Spinal Tap movie that, like the Stonehenge bit that is reputed to be something that actually happens in, is it Black Sabbath? All these just coincidences. We're kind of imagining that these things are really about real events and real people.
I think we just tuned into the same zeitgeist, because we did the movie, I think it was Deep Purple, but it may have been Sabbath, who did it after we... 10 years after. Did it after we had made the movie already, but before the movie came out.
Right.
And you know, I can't tell you how many bands, guys have come up to us after the movie came out and said, most memorably, Rob Halford, when he was still in Judas Priest, and said, I love that movie you guys did in Spinal Tap. You know, we were in San Diego last night, I couldn't find my way to the fighting stage.
That's the great thing. So it's totally disillusioned because the Peterson pipe that you smoke, and you know the kind of hooked traditional English pipe. Well, not one, not two, but three members of Jethro Tull around that time used to smoke the Peterson pipe, and we kind of looked at that and thought, hey, they're doing the Peterson pipe thing, and then the pods, you know, when you got trapped in the pods, that happened to us, except we were in giant white rabbit suits in Buffalo, New York, at opening of a tour, and we hadn't rehearsed it properly. We got stuck in the fucking rabbit suits and couldn't get out. You know. So these things are coincidental, maybe they are, but it's scarily near the truth.
It is scarily near the truth. My favorite response from musicians when they've seen the movie, and a couple of them have actually said this to us, I couldn't watch it. It was too real, man. And that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, well, my favourite bit is the lovely pathos and the sort of real tender moments where where the bust-up in the band comes and Michael McKean and Christopher Guest characters kind of get back together again. And so that was actually very touching because again, in real life in rock music,
so you really
have those bust-ups.
So you really are gay. You just don't know it yet.
Well, now you mention it. It's
why you're sitting on the couch and I'm over here.
That was very touching.
Yeah, it was.
I liked 11. Everybody knows the amp goes to 11, right?
Do you know where that has ascended now it is now in the Oxford English Dictionary.
Get out.
Go to 11, the phrase has been included in the Oxford English Dictionary. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So we helped write the dictionary, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, you're responsible for taking my 12-year-old daughter astray. I think we actually went to see Spinal Tap at the Albert Hall some years ago. She was just 12 years old, and she was kind of into all that stuff. And halfway through the show, she said, Daddy, I need to go to the toilet. I said, well, okay, it's right. We had a box at the Albert Hall. Out there to the left, ladies' toilet. You'll be all right. She said, yeah, I'll be fine. So she disappeared, and about 10 minutes later, no sign of her. And of course, the guys are on stage doing the whole thing, and my wife said, look, I'm a bit worried about Gail. She hasn't come back. She went to the toilet. I'll go and see if she's stuck outside or lost her way. And I searched around the back, back of the corridor around there and I couldn't find her anywhere. I was getting really worried. And I came back and said, I just don't know where she is. My wife tapped me on the shoulder and said, and you were down there at this point doing the kind of phallic bass thrust and going. And right down here, looking up at you going, it's my 12-year-old daughter Gail, who made her way to the front of the stage. And, goodness me, Pete Townsend could lose his visa for less than that. But don't worry, she's now 25 years old and fair game.
All right. Yeah. And we'll have to tour again. I must say that's only fair payback because I first saw you when I was a green behind the ears, green around the ears, green somewhere, youngster, and you guys were playing at Reading or one of those festivals where we slept in the mud and watched you, and this was one of your very early gigs, and I came back to the stage and started telling people at the radio station I worked at about you. And of course, it didn't help you get any airplay in this country at all. So I'm very proud to say that I helped you get started.
Well, Harry, it's a big world, and a lot of us have crossed paths over the years, and it's nice always to hear those little anecdotes and stories. And you'll be back to live a little of the real life in the Spinal. And I know you don't have your spandex with you. I was kind of hoping he'd sneak back in character towards the end of the show. Harry's going to come and rejoin us at the end and actually play his bass guitar. So when you see him come back, rock on Cleveland. Okay? Harry, it's been great having you, and take care. We'll see you at the end of the show.
Very sure.
Thank you.
You can stay here actually and just kind of drool while I do this last piece of music before the end of the first half. Over the years, we've wrecked many a fine piece of music, and J.S. Bach is probably extremely pissed off with our rendition of the piece Bourrée, which many years ago we played and did in a pretty loathsome kind of cocktail lounge jazz style. We decided to re-record that for the soon-to-be-released Jethro Tull Christmas album, and I know it's only September, but we like to show up for work early. And this is a piece where we've taken it a step beyond into an even more obscure kind of time signature, and you probably won't recognize it at all, which is just as well. At the end of this, we'll be taking a 20-minute interval. Promise me one thing. Don't go near the merchandise stand. There are guys out there who are just going to steal your money to get some really very nice t-shirts, but just promise me don't go and buy anything. Otherwise, if you buy a t-shirt, he will force you to take a free kazoo. You get a free kazoo with each t-shirt you buy, and if you get a kazoo, you're going to be in trouble at the end of the show because I'm going to make you play the damn thing. More of that later. We'll see you after the song, Beret, and thanks for coming along, and you're looking good. Here we go. again, it's on the music track.
Where are our girls?
Christmas time now. This is an alternative look at the Christmas festive season with a rather cynical and rather unpleasant little song called A Christmas Song.
Yay!
Once in Royal David City, stood a lonely cattle shed, where a mother held her baby. You'd do well to remember the things he later said. When you're stuffing yourselves at the Christmas parties, you'll love when I tell you to take a running jump. You're missing the point, I'm sure it does not need making. The Christmas spirit is not what you drink. So how can you laugh when your own mother's hungry? Of your father's pleasures. Remember, if you wish, this is just a Christmas song. Hey, Santa, pass us that bottle, will you? Well, Jim and Harry and I were talking downstairs in the dressing room area about the fearful state of the world, and to cheer myself up, I thought I'd play this piece of music now, which is a little more buoyant in terms of international politics and tensions, and suggests the finer and more gracious side of our recent turmoil and dodgy history. And I'd like to dedicate this to the savior of planet Earth. His name was Uncle Boris Yeltsin. Yeah, he was, because, you know, in that terrible moment when, you know, following Gorbachev, who got the ball rolling, was a good guy, but there was an attempted coup. You know, the military came back to try and reimpose communism, and Gorbachev was sort of not doing too well in the popularity stakes, and dear old Uncle Boris was the guy who stood astride the tank in St. Petersburg and beat off the communist insurgents, and so we owe it to Boris, who then had a reasonable tenure of controlling things and got us through those difficult years. And Boris basically did this not because he was particularly clever or particularly adept at the job. It was just he was so fucking out of it on the volume vodka, he couldn't find the button to press to send the nuclear missiles on their way. So my Christmas present to the two presidents, Bush and Blair, is a very, very large bottle of vodka this year. No, forget I said that. They're probably decent enough folks if you get to know them. And this is for Boris, and Boris's 3 left feet, because he was a lousy dancer. If you ever saw him dancing in Red Square when he was seeking re-election and boogieing in front of a young Moscow rock band and trying to seek the credibility of the younger folks. A bit like us, really. And this is for Boris, and his 3 left feet is called Boris Dancing. It's actually John O'Hara's audition piece when he came to try out for the job as accordion player. Yeah. Yay! Okay. That's one of the more scary ones if you're a piano accordionist.
I thought it was interesting that you could leave it to a Scotsman to figure out that the world was saved by alcohol. Very cool. By the way, also the Jethro Tull Christmas album, out just in time for Halloween. That's wonderful.
That's good thinking, huh?
Yay!
And also it's happened while I'm doing a solo acoustic tour, and my solo album, Rupi's Dance, came out in the middle of a Jethro Tull tour a few weeks ago, so it's all kind of screwed up, but thanks for your patience. Jim, you're going to go and talk to the fellas in the band here, because they are folks in need of some emotional and musical therapy.
Well, let's do that. We're going to start with Kit here on guitar. Kit, are you ready for some emotional and musical therapy? Let's have a hand for Kit. Kit, obviously a very talented person. Some people have a background and expertise because they've played with many musicians in different groups. Kit has quite a interesting resume. Kit composes music for animal shows on TV. And I'm not laughing, Kit, I can hear the snickering, but when you hear when you see the cheetah...
We're talking a Discovery Channel here,
right.
Animal Planet.
Yeah, the Nature Channel. So apparently when the cheetah is stalking the antelope, this is you?
Occasionally, yeah.
And how do you get inspiration to come up with that particular soundtrack?
The pictures kind of tell you what to do. That's what I like about it, because it's not like giving a kid a blank piece of paper and saying draw something. It's like, that's what you've got, it tells you what to do.
So if we kind of imagine here in the middle of the stage, this is the watering hole.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And Jim, you could be the antelope. Okay. And then the crocodile comes out of the watering hole and bites the head off the... Who wants to be the crocodile? Come on, you come up and be my crocodile. Come on, lady. Let's go. Let's do crocodile things. Come on. Here we go. Oh. Okay. So you're
suddenly I don't mind being the bass.
Stand here and be the crocodile, and you have to go over there, and when the antelope gets near the watering hole, you have to gobble him right up. Okay. This is what crocodiles do, okay, darling? Go on.
Oh, please.
Oh.
What is your name?
Darcy.
Well, it was a pleasure, Darcy.
But we didn't hear the music yet. He missed his cues. What kind of music do you do for crocodile gobbling? Well, come on, let's hear it. He said he mentioned he could see the pictures in his head and kind of do the music.
Darcy, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Okay, careful on the stage.
I was trying to find my antelope space inside me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, my antelope within. Let's go to James here on the drums. Let's embarrass James for a minute. James Duncan, everybody, give him a hand. How you doing?
The kid, the young guy.
How'd you get hooked up with all these old geezers?
I live in a village very close to Ian, back at home. So when he's looking for local people, you can get more local than me.
In fact, and also, Martin Barr is his godfather, curiously. A little incestuous, but...
And how is this guy to work with, really? I mean, would you rather work with a crocodile, or how easy is he to work with?
Very good, but I kind of hang out with the crew most of the time, because all these band people are a bit old for me.
Just stand. I don't blame you, pal. We'll talk.
And the crew have, according to rumor, they have better taste in women, apparently. And I don't understand that.
David, pronounce...
I thought I picked a very nice crocodile down there. I thought
she did, yes. Pick one without a huge old man next time, will you?
That's right.
David, pronounce your last name for me.
Goodier.
Goodier. Okay.
I have to talk closer because you're talking into his bad ear. You never heard that one before in school, did you, Dave?
Speaking of medical conditions, now, I don't know, but I'm just going to ask the question. Ian tells me that you have your finger in a rather dark medical secret. Something to do with a place where the sun doesn't shine. Is this true?
David has not happily got his rubber glove with him, but normally he dresses for work, not wearing the bass guitar or whatever, because he just does this in his spare time. Back home, he's a leading member of a teaching hospital where he's a senior consultant, gets a lot of time off to do this stuff, and most of the time he is a glockenspiel player, but also a proctologist.
Yeah. Oh my good Lord. Oh.
Hey, listen, somebody has to do this thing.
Not without dinner and a movie, you don't. Not without dinner and a movie. God. Okay. Please, help me out here. This is John O'Hare on the keyboards, ladies and gentlemen. Did I shake hands with the bass player? I can't remember. I did. God. Make it! Okay. See, that's who you want to be rubbing the elbows with. Forget Ian. Okay, here we go. Is it true, John, that you actually told a lie to get into this band? I mean, you look like a very upstanding guy to me. You look like a fine gentleman. You look like great, the hell is that thing? Accordion. But I understood that you may have fudged the truth a bit to get into the band.
Well, I told the truth. I said I played accordion. What I didn't say was I only played it for 12 months.
Ah, pretty damn good at it for 12 months. All right. And tell us what the boss is like to work.
It's cool.
Okay, he's cool. All right. You have a well-known, Mr. Anderson. I'm going to direct this to you. You have a well-known affinity for felines. Is that correct? We talked about this a little earlier.
Yeah, I like the pussy's cat.
Yes. And see, I'm being nice here. Come on. No long-legged pony jokes, no all-girl harmonica band looking for the ladies of the best licks in town. I've done none of that. I've tried to be nice. Thought we had the English people here. Anyway, this next song is about a true story about a cat that unfortunately is now at the Great Litter Box in the sky. Am I right in this?
Well, you would be, but about 3 songs after where we are now, because we're actually at one called Lost in Crowds at the moment, and the real sad one about the old black cat. Well, that comes up a little later.
Make up. Okay. Oh, Lost in Crowds we're going to do.
That's the one you like.
I really like this song. You know what? I turned the page wrong, and I'm so I'm used to following formats, so I got lost. Okay.
Here we go. It's going to be Lost in Crowds, and Jim is going to sit there and be penitent for the next 4 3/4 minutes. Okay, here we go. All right. I get lost in crowds if I can. I remain invisible to the hungry clouds. I stay unapproachable. Where the landscape of the urban continuum scarred my attention and blindly addicted to innocence. It's starry parties where we must in the rich and the poor. I'm stuck on words, I'm level with the best of them. I see their eyes glaze and they look for the best. Something in the thread of my conversation bothers them. So who am I? Come on, ask me. So who am I? Come on, question me if you can tell. Why not try to tell it? Why never need a simple question? I've got a way to get lost in this quick condition. It's
It's scary, airports and concourses. Oh, I am detached within serious observation. As a passenger, I become a dead one. I get lost in clouds, back home with my own quiet company. So who am I? Come on, ask me, I beg you. So who am I? Come on, question me if you can't tell. I'm going to try till it's interrogate the liberation. I have to wait to get lost in this quiet condition. I get lost in crowds that I can. I remain to the hungry pounds. I stay unapproachable. Where the landscape of the earth can spark my attention and quietly pick into come on, ask me, I beg you. Come on, question me if you can't tell. I'm gonna try till it's interrogate the separation. I'm on the way to get lost in this quiet condition. Come on, ask me, I beg you. Come on, question me if you can't tell. I'm gonna try till it's interrogate the separation. I'm ready to get lost in this quiet condition. Are you a saint today? Sauvignon Blanc or Oaky Chardonnay? Sleep for the movie, awake for the song. Dancing on England and hedgerows, in Boston a carpet of green. I descend and forgive me and me to get lost in crowds.
It's from the new album Rupi's doing. That is a great song. I like the next one because the next one is the bit where we get to be a backing group. We get to be just a bunch of session guys. You know, $10 will do the trick. Between us. So we have a special musical guest tonight, and Jim knows who he is, and I've got to know his music during the last few days listening to the stuff.
Absolutely. This is a guy who is a great singer, songwriter, one hell of a guitar player. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Corey Stevens.
Corey Stevens, hey! And that is obviously a very expensive and beautiful vintage guitar, but let me see if I can find a pot of black paint somewhere backstage we can spruce that up for you. Corey, elbow, there you go. Come and join us here on the big, comfy sofa.
Welcome, buddy.
Yeah.
How you doing? Good to see you. Is this kind of a thrill to be able to sit here and be able to jam with this band, I would think?
It is. You know, a lot of things have happened in my life, and I think the one thing that sums it up is, as I say, if I'd known all this stuff was going to happen in high school, I would have been a lot more relaxed, you know.
Sorry, you're in here, yeah. That one has only been touched with a man with a rubber glove, so it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, that was the bass player's mic, so figure it out for yourself.
New record out, Corey, because I believe it is, because we learned some of the music, and we weren't quite sure which song to go for, because there were so many things that, you know, it's kind of part of my background, the kind of blues and early rock stuff, and it's great seeing that tradition being carried on now, and you know, love this song.
Someday the sun won't shine for you. That was one of their first songs.
Was it?
Well, it was one of my first blues songs. You know, I had a Jethro Tull songbook, and for some reason, I just.
Yeah, that was a sort of that's kind of a folk blues thing in the Sonny
Did you write that?
Ronnie McGee style, yeah. Well, yeah, but it wasn't, you know, it was taking a lot of elements of it.
But you wrote
it was hardly the most original thing, but yeah, it's bashful.
Do you feel like I do that we owe a great debt to the English, such as Ian and the Stones and the Beatles?
Well, I think the British perfected the blues. You know, I really do. I love the old traditional blues. But I really, I love the way the Stones and Clapton and the first Tull album was very, very bluesy, very big influence on me.
Let me ask you this question, Ian. What in the early days when Corey and I were listening and the Beatles were coming in, the Stones were coming, you guys were going, you know, I heard the Stones do Little Red Rooster, and I went, man, these guys can write. What a cool song, Little Red Rooster. And it was only years later that I discovered the American culture, right? And if it hadn't been for the English, we would have still been in the dark, I think.
Yeah. But then half of the stuff that we were doing, you know, was actually written by Willie Dixon. You know,
Willie Dixon. Yeah, Willie Dixon.
And the Stones and Led Zeppelin and people like us, you know, we all took from that great, rich vein of musical history.
That song I was talking about, Someday the Sun Won't Shine on You, I try to write songs like that it's funny. I mean, it really, in the bottom line of that song, you know, the last line is, basically the guy's living with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mom.
Yeah.
He's pathetic, you know. And it's a joke, you know. But the whole song is like, you know, you're kind of taking it serious. Then the last line is like, hey, it's just a joke.
Well, you've got to make the mother-in-law happy, haven't you?
You have a new album of your own out. It's called Bring On the Blues. And are you going to play something from that tonight?
We're going to play the first track.
Well, man, let's do it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Stevens and the band Bring On the Blues.
No, you won't need that. You can leave that with me and David Goodier, who will keep it close to his person. Keep it warm for tomorrow night.
Oh, my God.
I don't know why you're kind of weird about this stuff. There's nothing wrong with the bottom experience. It's kind of good for you. Anybody out here done the thing that us middle-aged folks have to do and go and have that examination? No, seriously, if you haven't done it, go and do it. You need to have the...
Like right now in the middle of the show?
Well, you know, there could be worse times. No, but seriously, look after yourself. Go and get that examination. I can say this because I had mine just a few weeks ago. So I don't have to do it again for a couple of years. Just relax. The trick is, guys, just learn to go. You're tense up. It's like, oh, God, just relax. Strike this pose. When you go to the doctor, just say, hey. You'll find it's not as bad as you thought it was.
Not only is my career flashing before my eyes, my life is flashing before my eyes.
Right, Corey's going to do his song. It is indeed the first song on the album. The first song on the album is a great song on the album, and it's also the only one that would play on my CD player, so we don't have a lot of choice, but it's fine. Corey, this is one. The title of the song is Lonesome Road Blues, and it's one of those things that I guess you wrote the song, but it's very much in the tradition of all that great stuff that we grew up with, so we'll enjoy this together.
We're not talking about the Hershey Highway, though.
Back then, all of my home in California, left my baby back then. I had a daughter every time I think of her, I'll soon be a millionaire. Yeah, when I wake up every morning, I'm lonely as a man can be. Yeah, when I wake up every morning, I hate this crazy life I lead. I miss my baby, but I wonder if she miss me. I miss my baby 24 hours a day. I won't miss it. I want the first something. Life is short, days are long, the pain. I need to see my baby, wash my blues away like rain.
Buy that with all the money that you saved by not going near that merchandising stand.
So you have a well-known affinity for felines. Is that, God, please let me be at the right place in the notes. Did you want to ask some more questions from the audience?
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. But let's do the Pussycat song first.
Oh, for God's sake.
Now, this is actually really not specifically really a Pussycat song. Well, it is and yet it isn't. It's about an old black cat of ours that died of liver cancer just before Christmas, and he was a good old soul, but someone, not that special. You didn't notice him. He was just always there, and just you kind of ignored him, took him for granted. So it's not so much just a song mourning his demise, but really a kind of object lesson in how we should appreciate the things around us while they're still here. No use crying over them after they've gone. So treasure the things around you while they're still with you. They won't be there forever. This is called Old Black Cat.
Black cat collar, nice and new. I thought he'd make it through to New Year. I guess this song will have to do.
His name was Mauser. that old black cat. And it was called Mauser. It's actually the name of a German armament company, famous between the wars and during the wars for making military rifles. But Mauser is also the German slang for shagger. Like you do. And the sad thing is, poor old Mauser never got to shag because he was neutered at the age of about 7 months. But I guess he thought about it. Probably still thinking about it somewhere even there. And I know just how that feels. Just thinking about it. Yeah, right, Jim. Oh. Oh. Next one is a damn tricky one, and just in case you were wondering, it's one where we have alternating bar lengths of 9/8 and 7/8, which makes it pretty difficult to dance to unless you're a mathematician. But in fact, well, mathematicians would know that 9 and 7, add them together, you get 16. 16 divisible by 4, 4, 4, 4. Back to that old funky thing. So you can tap your foot right the way through this and get completely confused in the middle and still come out right at the end, which is kind of fun. So this is called, it's a song or a piece of music blessed by various notions of things to do with Europe, influences from European music, and so I decided to call it Urology.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should let the bass player introduce this one. Plus, I didn't know math was going to be involved. Nobody told me.
No. But anyway, it's not about the study of the wee hole or its contents, but merely a poor pun on the same. So this is called Urology, and see you at the end. Tapping your foot precisely in time. only Jim knows that towards the end of that, I actually turned my back and went back. Suddenly I had this horrible feeling that, you know, when I had a little wee break in the middle there, I hadn't done up my fly. I thought, holy shit, could be all that sad stuff about the cat and, you know, it was open. So I quickly went back there and kind of discreetly checked. Did you notice that? You did notice that, I know. You notice when a man does that sort of stuff.
Thank you. I was watching it. That really is a good song, though. That's off of Rupi's Dance?
It is indeed.
It's a very good song.
Jim's going to go walk about down there and maybe take another question from the audience if someone's got something really penetrating to offer me. Now, let me rephrase that for Jim's sake.
God almighty, the English, they're just so kinky. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I know. You have something that you want. Let me negotiate my way down the stairs, sir. What's your name, sir?
Avery.
Avery, how you doing?
Fine. Hi, Ian. I just wanted to, number one, thank you for being so accessible these last number of years.
Right.
You're really giving back more than any other entertainer I've seen. I brought something from my personal collection I wanted to show you. I wonder if you even have one. And maybe you can tell the story of what's so special about that.
Oh wow! This is the original. This is the first time Jethro Tull, before we were called Jethro Tull, went into a recording studio in London with a producer for I think MGM, and at the time we weren't called Jethro Tull. He wanted to call us Candy-Colored Rain.
Dude, how psychedelic.
But we, our manager then sort of said we would be Jethro Tull, and a few months later they decided to release this recording that we'd made to sort of cash in on the fact that we were now a known group. But because of being called Jethro Tull, they figured there would be a contractual difficulty because we weren't signed to MGM, so they put it under the name Jethro Toe. And this was a song called Aeroplane, and on the other side was Sunshine Day. And you can get these things on eBay for about $10, so it's nothing special. Don't tell me how much you paid for it. Thank you. There are probably really very few copies of that around. I don't have one of those. So. No, I don't have
the lady who's jumping up and down. I like that. Yeah. All right, let's go over here. We're looking for a pony.
Wait a minute, that's no lady.
Oh, yeah.
Jim,
look at this. Oh, yeah. What's your name?
Over here, Jim!
Hi, Nicole.
And first I want to say, great concert.
Thanks very much, thank you.
And second, I wanted to say that all this talk about shagging and proctology has made me want to ask if I could be the first woman tonight to elbow you.
All right.
The other woman did.
Lord have mercy. Go ahead, Nicole.
He's kind of more your age, I think.
My, that was
not
quick.
the old fella, this one here. I'm talking about the young guy. Oh, you off again? Okay, take care.
Fans of yours and keep putting out the great music. The new album is awesome.
Thanks very much. Great, thank you. It's a lovely t-shirt you're wearing. I hope you didn't buy that at the merchandising store. Okay, there you go. Well, that's great. Thank you, Jim, for going out and doing that. And, oh, so near and yet so far. So very quick one, because we have a problem if we run over time tonight. You all have to get locked in here until tomorrow morning, because they close the doors literally at 11, so you could be in here all night.
Are you going to play
We're still so good on.
Ian, are you going to play anything from Walk Into Light?
Probably not. No, that was a weird solo album.
I walked all the way back here for that lame question.
No more lame than thin ice.
Christ, I could have talked him into the pony.
I could have been more brutal and just said no. I said probably not. It left open some options. You know, a bit like being gay. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying kind of maybe, but probably not. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's got devices back here, marital age, battery-powered things. What's going on back here with that? I thought you were just elbowing the young lady. All right, what's next?
We'll never know. We'll never know. Right, so there's a piece of music now that is from the Jethro Tull Christmas album. This one is a mixture of some traditional Christmas carols, some Christian music, which is good stuff, and embellished a little bit with some invention of my own. It's on the Jethro Tull Christmas album, and we're going to attempt this difficult one called, we call it Holly Herald. It's kind of a mixture of Hark the Herald Angels Sing and the Holly and the Ivy with some kind of other stuff attached. It's fiendishly difficult, so we screw it up. Just look the other way. Go to the merchandise stand.
Turn it up! Don't be shy or proud.
We're getting towards the end of the show now. We're going to do a classic old Jethro Tull song, of which there's probably been 4 different arrangements over the years. But this one is by far and away the most mediocre of them. But it's an acoustic sort of version of a piece called Living in the Past, and has a rather tricky but deep and meaningful harmonica solo right at the beginning. So we're going to do this for you.
Right, turn it up!
Goodier, our special guests, and of course Corey Stevens. Jim, thank you very much. Let me level with you, because at this point in the evening, we haven't really finished at all. We just go off stage and hide around the corner, and you keep going apeshit and going, yeah, come on! And then we come right back and play the song we were going to play anyway. Let's see if you can go along with the idea of the encore. See, I shout out things like, rock on, Cleveland! Let's try it. Surprise. That was a surprise. This is going to be an interesting moment because some of you may have purchased, in spite of my advice not to so to do, you may have purchased a t-shirt and acquired a kazoo. But in case you haven't, I'm going to go and grab my personal stash of kazoos and distribute them among some of you near the front here. So you can get to be the first people in lozenges to play the kazoo in Locomotive Breath. What do you think? Yeah! We come down. Yeah, the thing about kazoos, you really got to be careful about this because people sometimes think you blow into them. Well, you don't! No damn good blowing into one because all that happens if you blow into it, it goes... Your eyes go cross and your testicles shrivel up, but it doesn't make a kazoo noise. Kazoo noise. Now you just sit down, I'll come to you. Just sit down, be good, be good. No, go sit down, sit down. So, blow into the short stubby end. Oh, don't blow, hum, like this. Or, got the hang of that? Alright, well I'm going to give you one because you've been a real gentleman and spent all that money inadvisedly on that record. What about you? Can you give it back there? Okay, how about this lady here? She'd love one. She'd love one. I just know she'd love one. Okay, a kazoo for you, sir? Lord have mercy. Oh, goodness. Okay, now you've got to be where I can find you. You're not good at being there. I'm not going to find you again when it's kazoo solo time. I'll have you disappear all the way back to the... Now, this one for you, sir. I have to be able to find you again, so here we go. One for you, young lady. How many have I got left? Another two kazoos. Can you have one? Of course you can. There we go. Now I'm going to save one for our genial co-host here, Jim Ladd, who I bet he's never played kazoo at his own funeral before. And Jim, you've got a special black one, sexy black one.
Thank you so much.
All right. And to make it even more interesting, we have a good chum Harry Shearer here to do what Derek Smalls does best. So this is a different version of Locomotive Breath, which is a kind of a sort of a spoof kind of jazz style. So we'll have fun with this, and we'll be down there for you with the kazoos very shortly. Thank you very much. A little practice, by the way, when no one's listening.
Turn it up!
All right.
Turn it up!
quite slow. That's when they play it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.